And now, Good Mic Work Commentaries and Greg Morgan presents the Winged Eagle Podcast.
It's getting cold in here, so put on all your clothes. It is getting so cold, I'm gonna put my clothes on. I don't know, I'm just trying something. What's up, guys? Happy Saturday. Welcome to the final Winged Eagle Podcast before WrestleMania 40. We are on the home stretch, boys and girls, and it's gonna be a party up in here all week long. So buckle up is all I can say. Hope you guys are having a great weekend so far. Today is going to be kind of a casual podcast because WrestleMania is so close. We are not bombarded with a ton of news today. We've got some interesting things to discuss, but we don't have any earth-shattering headlines or anything like that to kind of get into. It's going to be mostly WrestleMania preparation, a little bit of Dynasty preparation. We're going to talk about what we saw last night on SmackDown. We're going to elaborate more about what we saw this past week on Raw, and we'll talk about this past week's Dynamite as well, which was not an overwhelmingly great show by the numbers, but there were some pretty good matches on that card, and Dynasty is shaping up to look pretty good. And we will run through the Dynasty card. We will run through the WrestleMania card, which I believe is all but complete. There might be an extra match. I think if we're missing any matches, it's just one, maybe two, but right now we're looking at 12, 13-ish matches on the card for right now. So we'll run through what we've got with basically two new matches added last night on SmackDown, pretty much rounding out the card, and also a big announcement today about the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. So we'll be getting into that stuff. We're going to talk about Cody Rhodes' contract re-upping with the company, which is no surprise there. We're going to talk a little bit about that tremendous in-ring segment that we saw on Monday between Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and CM Punk. We'll talk a little bit about that and what the backstage rumblings were about that segment. We're going to talk about the WrestleMania set. We've got some early photos leaked. It's always a fun time of year. Every year that I've been on YouTube, pretty much, there's always the set leaks about a week before. You'll start seeing pictures of them constructing the set. It's always just a really fun kind of WrestleMania season thing that we all go through together. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about if they're going to add any sort of surprise match on WrestleMania, because there is a lot of talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena, The Undertaker, and also Hulk Hogan, who will be making an appearance at the World WrestleMania weekend. It could all be doing something on the show. So we'll talk about maybe possibilities there, what we might see. Like I said, we're also going to talk about the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. We're going to run through last night's SmackDown results and the debut on SmackDown of Jade Cargill, and we'll circle back and talk a little bit about AEW and Dynamite as well, and preview Dynasty and tonight's Collision, which does not look bad, goes live in less than 2 hours, so Collision should be a fun night of wrestling. If you like just to watch wrestling, you should like Collision tonight, I think. So that's pretty much what's on the menu for today, and I'm going to give you guys a full schedule of what to expect from us this week, because you're going to be seeing me just about every day, I think, with the exception of just a couple. But let me go over here to the chat and say hello to everybody. By the way, cheers, happy Saturday, happy weekend, and finally, happy WrestleMania week on the home stretch here. Do me a favor, as always, smash that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe if you are not yet already. Super chats and memberships are open, so if you would like to join and support in that way, you can as well. And info on all that good stuff is in the description, and you are welcome to send super chats in anytime, and I answer all of them. So let's do some quick hellos to everybody. Maybe let's start out with some channel members like Jay Lambo, Tatanani, also Red Raven Rucker, JJ Leg, Ben Espinoza, Danny in Oak Park, Isaac, Michael Quilmo, we got JD Jones, and that's it for the channel members for the moment. Also good to see Terrence. Hello from France, right on, where Backlash will be. Are you going, Terrence? Oh man, that's going to be a rockin' crowd. If there's one pay-per-view on the calendar this year I think I would like to go to, it would be that one, because those international shows are just so full of energy, and that's going to be a fun one, man. I hope you're able to go. Good to see Tony as well. We got David Meldrum in here. Happy Easter weekend to you. Josh Garcia. Sonic Plays is in the house. So's Big J. Daniel Barry Sports. Roman Stone. Cherokee George is in the house as well. Jacob A. William Cullen, I see. Stephen Jacobson. Decimania. Mohammed is here as well. And we got a nice $9.95 from our friend Tomas Aridia. Good to see you, my friend. Happy Mania week. Do you think It should have been a tag team match at Mania 26, Cena and Brett versus Batista and Vince to mask Brett's limitations. Just a thought I had while listening to you and Solomonster. I think the tag match idea is good to mask Brett's limitations. It's just Cena and Batista had absolutely nothing to do with anything involved with Brett and Vince. You know, Cena and Brett were tight. They had become friends. So I guess I could see that working out. But, you know, the issue between Vince and Brett went back so far, it wouldn't have felt like real closure to me. I mean, even the match they had didn't really feel like real closure because it was such a joke. But I think if they were to add a lot of people that didn't even debut in the business until years after the screw job, for me personally as a fan, it would have been weird. Maybe not for everybody, but I just wouldn't have felt like they had a place there unless they develop on-screen relationships with Vince and Cena, and that's used as a way to kind of, you know, mask what Brett's limits are. But I don't know if that would work or not. I just think it was too late to do the match. Both guys were just too past their physical prime. Good to see Chaz Medeiros. Welcome to the family, my friend. Good to see you. Right on. By the way, thank you to all the channel members. We are over 100 channel members on the channel for the first time, so that's really, really awesome. JJ Leg has got 5 for us. Hey, Greg. Sorry, got my first tattoo today. You did not say sorry. Got my first tattoo today. Got Bray Wyatt's moth from his recent run. Miss him every day. Amazing, man. That's cool. Where'd you get it? On your ass? Come on, you know you did. I'm kidding. It's maybe a shoulder thing. The moth is cool. I don't have one single tattoo. If I ever get one, it's probably going to be something Bub or Tito related, because there's just nothing in my life that I want to cement on my body permanently. But I do like the design of the moth, you know, and I could see myself having something like that on my arm or something. Probably look pretty cool. So right on, man. Hope you recover well. Keep it covered and do everything the tattoo guy told you to do in terms of keeping it clean and keeping it not infected. That good stuff. But don't listen to me for tattoo safety because I'm not the guy. But that's really cool to hear, JJ. Hope it on your inside form. Ooh, that's painful. That's sensitive. That's sensitive. That probably hurts a lot, baby. That's all right, man. Heal up, JJ. It's going to be a fun WrestleMania week. Rest in peace to Bray Wyatt. We will be talking about Bray Wyatt this week as Bray has a network special on Monday coming up, which is going to give you a lump in your throat, I think, watching that. Anyway, before we get into our goodies for today, like our wrestling news, here's what's on tap for this week. We got a lot going on. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do our final WrestleMania watch-along of the season tomorrow night. Now, tomorrow is Easter Sunday, okay? So I'm going to be working Easter, but I'll be home in time to do this. We did a stream on Easter Sunday last year, watched a Backlash. So I will be working a little bit tomorrow, but I will be home in time for our regular watch-along scheduled time of 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and we are going to be watching WrestleMania 13. So we're going to go back to 1997, and we're going to watch Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret the Hitman Hart. And based on what we saw last night on SmackDown, there might be a match on this card that we watch tomorrow that we could see something similar to at WrestleMania this year. The Chicago street fight between the LOD and Ahmed Johnson and the Nation. We could see the same thing this year with the Authors of Pain and Cross and the Street Profits. So that might be what we get if we get an extra Mania match this year. But tomorrow, we're going to watch WrestleMania 13. Not a very good show, but it's one we really needed to get to and watch one of these days. So that will be tomorrow. Then on Monday Night Raw is a big one. We have The Rock returning to Brooklyn. The Rock and Roman Reigns are both going to be on Monday night's Go Home WrestleMania Raw. So that's going to be a big show. Lots of things going down as we really gear up into WrestleMania. So I've already got the link up to this show. The link up to this episode, it's on the channel right now. You can check that out, and please join us Monday night immediately following Raw for a full review. And if I have time on Monday and I'm able to check out any of that Bray Wyatt documentary, we will talk about that on Monday night as well. But most likely, I won't be watching the Bray Wyatt documentary until after we do our Raw review on Monday. So we will try to talk about it this week whenever we have time. And I think a good time for that might be on Thursday when we are up here to do our WrestleMania predictions. Now, by the way, all of these videos and thumbnails I'm showing you are all located in my WrestleMania 40 playlist on my channel. So just go to my channel. You'll see it right there. And all of these links and all these videos to everything we've done so far are already up there on the playlist for you. So we will be here Thursday doing predictions. Then on Friday, this coming Friday, we are going to be here for a SmackDown review and WWE Hall of Fame 2024 review. So we'll talk about SmackDown, the go home show, the final show before WrestleMania. The Andre Battle Royal will be on that thing. And then we have the Hall of Fame later on that will be headlined by Paul Heyman. And then on Saturday night one, we will be here for a night one live watch party and post-show review. Saturday and Sunday are going to be 2 really long days here on the channel, but 2 fun days. So make sure you join us Saturday and Sunday for the night one and the night 2 watch along and post-show reviews. These are going to be a blast. I'm really looking forward to WrestleMania weekend. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to do a lot of stuff, watch a lot of wrestling, consume a lot of content together, and it is going to be a blast. Now, there is one additional video that I did not tell you guys about because I haven't uploaded it yet. It's going to be released Monday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and it's going to be the final special episode that I'm going to give you guys for WrestleMania season. Now, I've done 3 collabs this year. We did a WrestleMania 10 30th anniversary review. I've uploaded a couple of small videos as well, and Monday will be the final WrestleMania season special episode that you get. I'm not going to let you know the topic yet. You'll have to wait until Monday morning to check that out. So, every link to all of these live streams and everything we've done so far is up on my channel already, with the exception of that one video that you will see appear on Monday. So stay tuned for that. Going to be a big week here on the channel. I'm really looking forward to it. I need to remember to use my mute button when I want to cough. Whenever I can. But anyway, let's get into some wrestling news now that we've ran through all the scheduling stuff. Let me cruise here to the chat and just peek at it, make sure there's nobody else in here I need to say hi to. Well, actually, I take that back. I do want to say hi to Mike Witt. What's up, dude? Appreciate the 5 from you. This build has reminded me a little bit of the WrestleMania 30 build since the Rumble, at least, especially the end of the show beat down on Monday. That was some crazy shit, man. We were up here on Monday talking about it, and that was such a fun episode of Raw because we were just 2 days removed, or a couple days removed from the previous Friday's SmackDown, where we felt like the Cody and Roman confrontation in the ring was kind of lacking a little bit, or just lacked some energy. That wasn't the case on Monday Night Raw, as we had a completely surprise appearance by The Rock twice. He came out in the beginning of the show to surprise us. Then when we thought he was long gone, he showed up at the end and laid down that beat down to Cody. And that was just a happy accident that it just happened to be raining. I think it was great with the rain. I'm glad that it was raining. That's just one of those things that just kind of added to it. And it was a complete accident because you can't control the weather. So the fact that they were able to do that segment outside in the rain, Cody getting beat down like that, was just tremendous. And I think it's a pretty good indication that he's going to be finishing his story this year. I'm pretty confident. And we got to start with Cody in our wrestling news because apparently he has officially re-signed with WWE. And we did talk about this a couple of months ago, I think at the end of last year, where this was brought up. Cody's contract was brought up. And I remember saying, you know, I'm pretty confident that Cody is going to go to WrestleMania and finish his story, but is WWE really going to give him that moment at WrestleMania 40 when he just has a few months left on his contract, or he's down to his final year of his contract, or he's in a contract year? You know, I would want to lock him up to an extension before he gets that moment at WrestleMania 40, and it sounds like he has done that. Cody did an interview with Justin Walker where he confirmed a new multi-year contract with the company. He was asked, this came up because he was asked if he will retire when he turns 40. By the way, the transcripts are courtesy of Fightful. And when he was asked about his retirement, he said this, quote, "I can tell you 40 is out of the question just because, not to give you a scoop, it was widely reported, but I did sign a new contract with WWE. It extends beyond my 40th birthday. The plan is still, when it's time to step out without it being a painful process, solely because I saw my dad as an old man wrestler and he loved it and enjoyed it, but as his son, it was hard to see. My daughter is 2 going on 3. There does have to be a time just like he was with us, where I have to be at home all the time and be there with her. It's not 40 anymore. I'll update the number. I'll hit the prime run late in the game. I often forget that I'm nearing 40. So I guess maybe at one time, Cody might have mentioned that he planned on retiring at 40, but that's easy to say when you're 30, and then your career goes. Next thing you know, boom, you're 38. And the older you get, the quicker time passes. And all you guys can agree with that. So I think 40 is almost here for Cody, and he's realizing, shit, I haven't even become John Cena yet. I still have to have a run. So I think Cody's probably looking somewhere between 45 and 50 when he's actually going to step away. But him re-upping with the WWE is good news. This is where I feel like he needs to be. As cool as it would be to see Cody return to AEW one day, I have been so pleased with the way he's been presented and used and how over he's gotten in WWE. And it was almost instantly, because before he signed with the company, or when he signed with the company, before he debuted, I should say, remember how we were all kind of just really not sure? Oh man, I hope he's not making a big mistake, or I hope he doesn't get fucked over by WWE. A lot of people were just kind of assuming that, signing with WWE was going to be a death sentence for him. And I was kind of like, well, hold on, let's not get too ahead of ourselves here, because I was referencing and using AJ Styles as a good example of somebody that came in, at least Cody had already been there. At least Cody has, the Rhodes family name. He's Dusty Rhodes' son. He's already worked in the company for years, has a relationship with them just like his whole family does. So didn't see that logic how WWE would just, turn him into a jobber because he worked for the competition. When AJ Styles came in, he worked his whole career outside of WWE, and he was champion within 9 months. So I wasn't too convinced that it was going to be an automatic disaster for Cody, but I was definitely worried because at the time, Vince McMahon was still in charge. But my worries completely evaporated at WrestleMania 38 during Cody's entrance. It was during the entrance that you could tell, oh, this is a big deal. This is a really big deal. I didn't really grasp how big of a deal it was going to be, and it was like you almost instantly got it. And of course he was hurt quickly, got injured, had to take that time off, and then last year losing to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. But now he's had a full year of big matches, pay-per-view matches, telling this story of getting back to WrestleMania to face Roman Reigns. And now I think he's primed and ready to win the championship, a lot more even than he was last year, because last year even though there's still a very big debate of whether or not it was the right decision to have Roman Reigns beat Cody. Last year, going into the match, even though I was of the belief and I predicted Cody to win, there was part of me that said, oh, I could see how they would still put Roman over here. I hope not, but I could see WWE doing that. I am not having that feeling this year. That is not the vibe I'm getting from what we're seeing. I am supremely confident that Cody is going to wind up finishing his story unless they try to pull the swerve of all swerves. But this isn't WrestleMania 38 or 39 or 37 or 41 or 42. It's 40. This is going to be a show where the main event you want to be remembered for decades to come. And that's why I think everything is lining up here for the Codester to finish his story. And congrats on the new multi-year deal. I'm sure they're paying him a couple of bucks to work there, which is nice. This past week on Raw, of course, we saw the tremendous in-ring segment, the verbal battle between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Drew McIntyre. There was so much good stuff here because of how just well everything flowed. There was a lot of ad-libbing. There was a lot of leeway. You could tell between the guys for what they could say. And, there's no indication that they rehearsed and practiced this for hours or anything, but it really just flowed really smoothly. Every guy was right on point. They were hitting their keys, their insults, their jabs back. None of it felt awkward. Nobody stumbled through their shit. It didn't come off weird or anything like that. It was just so perfect. Everybody was comfortable with each other. The way Drew was sitting there in the chair and Punk is on his case. I never have to put, another man's name on a shirt to sell, to sell some merch. And, all the back and forth that all three guys had was very, very fun to watch. And it really added a fun dynamic to the Seth Rollins and McIntyre match now at WrestleMania 40, because it was announced or decided during that segment that CM Punk would be on commentary for the match, even teased being a referee. And all of the guys had fun kind of trading insults with each other. Now, the big line, the big mention, or the biggest thing that was talked about in that segment was the mention of CM Punk of Vince McMahon, even though CM Punk did not use his name. Specifically, when Drew McIntyre brought up being the chosen one, Punk asked him who chose him. Who chose him? Say his name. I mean, that was incredible to me. And what I liked about that is he said it and then he got right off of it and they moved on. And it was a lot of things like that that I thought they did really well of walking up to the line but not crossing it, and then continuing on, telling the story you're telling without deviating too much, but still giving us the oohs and ahs. And these promos, these type of segments are rare. They come around, once every couple of years where everything just hits and goes off perfectly. And I think because of some of the insults that were traded and some of the controversial things the guys were saying, there was some speculation as to what the backstage reaction to this was. Is there going to be any heat with any of these three guys? Did anybody overstep? Did anybody cross a line they weren't supposed to? Or are there any harsh feelings or bad feelings based on what was said in the segment? Now, without me even reading the report I'm about to read you here from Wade Keller, I did not think there was. It certainly didn't come off that way. These guys will not be going out there shooting off at the mouth, going into business for themselves, trying to one-up each other during the build to the biggest WrestleMania of all time. And CM Punk just getting there, just getting hurt. He's still on good behavior, CM Punk mode. He's not going to be in there, ruffling feathers and arguing and making a stink. He's got no leg. He's got no arm to stand on, or no arm to lean on, or leg to stand on. He just got back injured immediately. He should not be out there complaining about anything. And I never really believed that CM Punk was causing any problems whatsoever, at least not yet in his WWE run. And here's what Wade Keller said this week in the Pro Wrestling Torch, and I quote, "Multiple sources indicate Punk wasn't in trouble for veering into territory that related to the now disgraced former WWE leader Vince McMahon. Instead, because of how he steered away from it after a few seconds, while still getting the impact he was looking for as a controversial comment, it was seen as a slick comment that enhanced the tone they were going for. I agree. That said, while it was framed as walking right up to the line, it's possible some top executives at TKO might feel differently than those at Raw last night who were ultimately okay with it. So while the framework was planned and certain lines were certainly scripted and discussed beforehand, there were some on-the-fly comments that were interjected, something Paul Levesque is encouraging and endorsing, but of course within reason. It's a sign of trust in those there that they were... It's a sign of trust in those three that they were not... Greg needs to learn to read. It's a sign of trust in those three that they were given the green light to engage with each other like that. Not everyone, we're told, will be given that latitude and trust by management. Attempts to create a pseudo-shoot interview environment, a pseudo-shoot environment don't always work, such as when Seth Rollins threw an over-the-top fit when Punk first returned to WWE, and then Drew stormed away through the crowd, but was caught being given stage directions from a cameraman that may have given away aspects of it that were planned. By all accounts, while Seth harbored legitimate gripes with Punk, the two are getting along backstage when planning their segments. Punk continues to get all positive reviews from many sources regarding how he is carrying himself amongst colleagues and management. And that's just kind of an obvious thing to me. Now, granted, CM Punk has got a big track record, a long track record of kind of ruffling feathers, rubbing people the wrong way, creating enemies, arguing, and just kind of being disruptive and whatnot. Even in AEW, just problems there right off the bat. But in AEW, I feel like he was coming in as a big star, coming in as a former multi-time WWE champion who has had big WrestleMania matches and a long track record working with a lot of legends, Undertaker and John Cena, and all the greats in WWE. So he's coming into AEW, a smaller company with a roster that has, at the time of his arrival there, had a lot of young wrestlers, that were still learning live TV, and hadn't even really been on TV outside of the independents that much. So he came in there, kind of felt like a big shot, felt like a leader, felt like people should be lining up to take his advice. That's probably the mentality and the ego that he had going into AEW. It's not the same thing in WWE. He's coming in now to an already well-established brand that would be just fine if he never came back in. They don't need him, but they're happy to have him. And then he's going to go into this locker room with a whole bunch of people there now who have had lots of time in WWE, as much time as he spent there, having their WrestleMania matches, having their moments. What's he going to do? Go in there and start telling Kevin Owens what's what? He's not going to do that, especially when he comes back seemingly pretty relieved to not only be back in wrestling, but working for the WWE, getting a sweet payday and getting to give a big middle finger to AEW. The last thing in my mind that I would think a rational or sane person in CM Punk's position would do would be to show up in WWE and immediately start making enemies. So I said that right from the beginning. As soon as he showed back up at Survivor Series, I'm like, he's going to be on Hogan 2002 behavior. He's going to come in. He's going to do business. He is not going to, walk around like he's king shit. He's not going to pull any creative control cards or refuse to do jobs or anything like that. He's going to do whatever he is told, at least at first, just like Hogan did. And then if CM Punk starts becoming, getting really super over, even more over than he was, he stays healthy, and fans are, fucking going nuts for him, then, maybe he's got a little bit of pull to get things done the way he wants them done. But it just never felt like from the very beginning of Punk coming back to the WWE that he was going to be there to make enemies. This is his final contract. His final resting place is probably going to be WWE. I can't see him having a falling out with WWE and then going back to AEW. This is going to be it. This is his chance to finish up and wrap up his career and legacy in a good way and to not be remembered as someone who just did nothing but cause problems. So this report by Wade Keller did not surprise me at all. It's what I would expect from CM Punk. Just behave yourself and have fun. That's what it's all about. And I think the Seth and McIntyre match at Mania is going to be a lot of fun, especially with Punk out there and the Damian Priest wild card. So you got to think about all of that. The WrestleMania set. Photos are starting to come out in Philly of them constructing the WrestleMania set. So far, it's not that revealing. It does look like WrestleMania is going to be spelled out over the stage. Maybe something kind of similar to how WrestleMania 31 looked, maybe. So far, it looks somewhat minimal. I don't think the set is going to be minimal, but so far what they've constructed, they're not building roller coasters, and they're not putting the Statue of Liberty over top the ring and shit like they've done in the past. So I think this one might be somewhere in between. It's not going to be, the crazy roller coaster, but then again, it's not going to be overly simplified either. Last year's show was great. The set was great. I was at WrestleMania last year and seeing that, that Hollywood movie theater kind of vibe they had at SoFi was really awesome. And I'm sure the one in Philly will look awesome. It's probably going to have a green and white type of color scheme, I would assume, and lots of lighting and lots of effects and that type of stuff. And I guess we should probably start keeping our eye on the weather at this point now that WrestleMania is a week away. I have not checked anything for the Philadelphia area next week, but I'm really hoping, just as a wrestling fan and my enjoyment for consuming and watching wrestling and WrestleMania 40, the 40th WrestleMania, this being a milestone show, I don't want any hiccups. I really hope it goes off without a hitch. They don't have any weather issues or any injuries or any catastrophic disasters that, uproot this show or place obstacles in front of it or anything like that. I just want to enjoy it and have fun. So that's what I'm hoping for the weather and everything works out for WrestleMania this year. But so far, the set, can't really tell too much about it yet. But I'm sure at the end, when it's all constructed, it's going to look pretty badass. Also at WrestleMania, there's been a lot of talk because now we know we're going to run through the card here in a little bit, but I think I have 12 matches. Let me scroll down here and just check. Where the fuck is it? Where's rest? There we go. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 matches I have written down for WrestleMania. Meltzer has been discussing this week the possibility of maybe a surprise WrestleMania match because we have some people in town and a couple of these guys can actually still wrestle. Now, Meltzer has been reporting that Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena, The Undertaker, and Hulk Hogan are basically all on the table to make WrestleMania appearances. And I kind of honestly hope that they do. I kind of hope it's more than that. I pitched an idea several weeks ago, maybe not that long, maybe 2 weeks ago, about doing something similar to what they did at WrestleMania 30, where they had the opening of the show be Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Hulk Hogan. And if you did something like that again here for 40, but maybe expand on it, add a couple of more legends, put Stone Cold Steve Austin in the ring, put John Cena in the ring, The Undertaker, Hulk Hogan. I would bring in Brett. I would bring in Shawn. I would bring in Foley. If you want, I mean, Triple H and The Rock are very busy. They got other shit going on, but it would be cool to even get them out there. You know, especially The Rock, if they open the show, Rock's in the main event, you know, of night one. He's not going to get physical in that opener. Just come out with all these legends just to get that visual of basically every still living and breathing major top icon, you know, in the business or who had huge WWE careers all kind of gathering to maybe welcome us together to WrestleMania. I think that would be really nice. Or if they don't do something like that, we could have something similar to what we saw at WrestleMania 32. And I did like what we saw at WrestleMania 32 with The Rock coming out and John Cena and The Rock having that 5-second match with Eric Rowan that does count, and it is in the record books as a WrestleMania match. So which is still just mind-blowing to me. But then after that, you know, Rock was in his gear. John Cena was in his gear. And 3 years after I wouldn't say epic, but 3 years after their WrestleMania 29 match, they are basically teaming up in an impromptu match or fight to take out the Wyatt family. So I think if John Cena or Stone Cold Steve Austin or both did something like that, that might be kind of fun. Now, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory are in that ladder match, so they can't beat up those guys. Well, maybe they could. They maybe still could do that. But maybe with those guys, they could do something similar to what they did at WrestleMania 32. So I would either like to see that. I would either like to see Austin and Cena get involved in a WrestleMania 32 type of scenario to where maybe you just get an impromptu match. You know, just John Cena or Austin gets on the mic. Hey, let's get a referee out here and let's do this right now type of thing. So that we could see, and I wouldn't mind that. Or do the idea I just mentioned with a bunch of legends gathering to open up WrestleMania, you know, much like Hogan, Austin, and Rock did at WrestleMania 30. Or another idea that people have been mentioning that I don't really hate, and I kind of blew it off at first thinking, no, I don't see that happening. But I think there might be a chance, a possibility that maybe Stone Cold Steve Austin could be a part of that main event on night 2. If it's going to be Bloodline Rules and it's going to be anything goes, I think something like that would be a lot of fun, because if it's Bloodline Rules, you know that Cody's going to be at a monumental disadvantage. And you would think Cody, this being his last chance to finish his story, he doesn't want to put all of his confidence on Seth Rollins. I'm confident that me and you are going to be able to beat Roman and Rock. So I'm not going to take any other steps to protect myself on night 2. I'm just going to bet that it's going to be one-on-one, and I'm not going to have to worry about outside interference. Does that sound to you like something Cody would do? I feel like Cody's character would be prepared and be ready for everything. And so maybe Cody gives a few secret phone calls to some guys. Hey, look, can you be at WrestleMania? And if it turns out to be Bloodline Rules, I would love some help. And what if one of those guys was Stone Cold Steve Austin, who does have history with Dusty and goes way back with Dusty. Austin didn't terribly love Dusty, but they do have a history from WCW. And of course, he has a huge history with The Rock. Now, he doesn't fit in at all to this bloodline shit. So I would need maybe a little bit more explanation or motivation from Austin to get involved here. But if he were to show up in the ring and stun The Rock, and Rock does the stunner cell, I mean, oh my God, that would be so good. If Austin came out and maybe gave a little assist to Cody, not to be in the mix of it, not to be the one to raise Cody's hand and present him the belt, not to do what Hogan did for Savage at WrestleMania 4, but just to be one of the people maybe out there. Because think about how Mick Foley won the title in 1999 and Austin's music hit. And there was all that chaos with the corporation. That could be the same thing. You know, it could be Cody and Roman and you got Paul Heyman and Rock kind of jointly playing the role of Vince McMahon. And you've got the bloodline out there playing the role of DX and the corporation or whatnot. And Cody has got such an uphill battle. And then you have Cody's got some friends. Sammy comes out. Jey Uso comes out. But maybe it's just a little bit too much. Sammy comes out. Jey comes out. They get taken out by Solo and Jimmy, and then Rock and Roman are both in the ring. I wouldn't be surprised if Rock is in the ring with Roman, stomping Cody. If it's bloodline rules, anything goes. So I think we're going to see The Rock extremely physical on night 2, in the ring physical, not just on the outside of the ring attacking Cody when he gets knocked out of the ring, but actually getting in the ring and putting the boots to Cody and smacking him around and shit. So if it's total chaos, and like I said, I want a lot of chaos. I want the moms getting involved. Cody's mom is probably going to slap The Rock. He's going to intimidate her. I want lots of interference. I want people coming in from all different directions. And if you've got a lot of chaos going on, just like you had in that 1999 Raw match with Mankind and Rock, and then Austin's music hits and the fucking crowd pop, and he comes down and he's talking, he's got a chair in his hand, and you could do the same thing. You could boink The Rock on the head with a chair, give him a stunner all the way over the top rope into the 5th row. And then Cody can just take care of Roman on his own in the ring and win the match. And then the next night on Raw, he can explain, how stupid do you guys think I am? Do you think I was going to be unprepared? I was going to be prepared for whatever scenario. If me and Seth Rollins beat you guys on night 1, great, because I know I can beat Roman on my own. But if something happens and we don't win that match and it's bloodline rules, I'm going to make sure I didn't fall victim to what happened to me last year. So Roman's got a whole bloodline and he's got a lot of people in his corner. Well, you know what? I've got a few friends too. And I decided to give some of them a call. And, and the one thing that might not work there is if Austin is the actual reason. I don't necessarily want Stone Cold to be the reason Cody won, because then what are they going to do? Do an Austin and Rock match again? I just think having Austin maybe make an appearance might be a little bit fun. Just neutralize the bloodline and allow Cody to take Roman out by himself. If Austin comes out, I want him to stun The Rock or hit The Rock with a chair. I don't really want him to hit Roman Reigns. I want that to be Cody's deal. So I feel like for WrestleMania 40, as a wrestling fan, I would be really disappointed if they didn't throw a surprise or two at us. Because some WrestleManias we're expecting big surprises and then we don't really get it. But for the 40th one, I want throwbacks. I want special appearances. I want an impromptu match. And I want at least, one major surprise of some kind. And I think the matches on the card are all fucking solid. And I think they really have the table set here for a really fun couple of nights of wrestling that's going to culminate with a great moment for Cody Rhodes. I don't see at this point how Roman retains. There's a whole chunk of wrestling fans out there that are so annoyed by other people online that they actually are convincing themselves that Roman should win. No, he should not. In no fucking universe would really that make any sense right now, the way they have this set up. So I'm going Cody all the way. I'm going to give my predictions this Thursday, but right now I don't see how he doesn't finish this story. The more adversity that stacks up on him, the more he gets beaten down and bloodied, and the more times his mother is insulted by The Rock, the more I think that increases his chances of winning the title. But what I want to see on night 2, even though I'm very confident about Cody winning, I want them to fool me at least 4 times. I want to go into that match confident that Cody is going to win, but I want to think for a split second that I was wrong. I want to think that and feel that for 4 or 5 different times. I want to be like, holy shit, Roman's going to win, and then Cody kicks out or something happens. I just want to see all kinds of crazy in this match. That's what I'm looking for. So regardless of what Austin, Cena, Taker, Hogan, or any of them do, I hope that they make appearances. Hogan, I don't want to see him. I don't have any fucking use for Hulk Hogan at all. I'm talking more about the company's perspective. It would be silly not to include Hogan, considering he's not on bad terms currently with the company. He voiced the Royal Rumble intro back in January, so he has... We don't like him. I don't like him. I never want to see his stupid, wrinkly, leather-faced fucking skin again, but I understand that he was at the first WrestleMania. He main evented the first WrestleMania. He wasn't at WrestleMania 10 or WrestleMania 20. He was at 30. Being involved at WrestleMania 40 seems like a given. So even though I don't really like Hulk Hogan, I don't want anything to do with him in modern times. This is the 40th anniversary of Hulkamania. Just a couple of months ago, January 23rd, 1984, was the birth of Hulkamania, and we just passed our 40th anniversary, and now it's the 40th WrestleMania, and Hulk Hogan has a record that I believe, you guys got to help me because I didn't write this down and I meant to. I believe Hulk Hogan has a record that's going to go down at WrestleMania, that's going to be broken. And I don't mean the record of how many days he's held the WWE Championship, because that's not a record. Hogan is third all time. There's no record there. But where there is a record is in the amount of WrestleMania main events you've been in. And Hogan, I believe, has been in 8, right? The only one, WrestleMania 1 through 9. WrestleMania 4, he was not in the main event match, but he was involved in it, just not booked in it. WrestleMania 9, also not involved in it, or not booked in it, just involved in it. So technically the first 9 WrestleManias, we had Hulk Hogan standing in the ring at the end of the show. And one of those WrestleManias, he wasn't really in the match. So I believe that Hulk Hogan has 8, this is if you're including WrestleMania 9, he has 8 WrestleMania main events. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that's 8 WrestleMania main events, right? Roman, with these 2 WrestleMania main events back-to-back on back-to-back nights, WrestleMania 40 and 41, I believe this puts him at 9, right? You guys know Roman's history better than me, but will WrestleMania 40 make 9 WrestleMania main events for Roman Reigns? I'm pretty sure it will. 31, 32, 33, 34, 37, 38, 39, 40, 49. I'm right? So that's a record that's going to be broken this year at WrestleMania, unless I'm the worst mathematician in the world. Let me know. Check my work on that. I think I carried the 1 and all that stuff. So that is kind of cool. And if Hogan is there to be a part of that, fine. You know what? If there's one show, if there's one wrestling event, I'm going to tolerate the presence of Hulk Hogan. It's going to be WrestleMania 40. I mean, WrestleMania 40. It's the 40th one. Come on. Like I said earlier, the Andre the Giant Battle Royal is confirmed for this coming Friday's SmackDown. And I fucking hate that because it just gobs up all the people currently not booked for WrestleMania and sticks them in a match. And I'm fine with that. But the Andre the Giant Battle Royal was created back at WrestleMania 30. It was designed to be a battle royal to maybe help elevate somebody and to get people on the card. And I could maybe understand, since the first year with Cesaro winning was tremendous, and then every year it shit the bed after that. So since the battle royal became a fucking joke and it sucked, I can understand, or at least understand WWE's position to maybe move it off the card back when it was only one night. But when WrestleMania is 2 nights long, I do not understand for the fucking life of me how WWE cannot squeeze this thing in to one of those 2 nights or the pre-show. Put it on the pre-show if you must. Just get it on the WrestleMania card. Let the talent. I'm not a big proponent of everybody should get on the card and everybody should be world champion, but WrestleMania, this is a battle royal that should be on the card. It's not a matter of getting all the talent to appear on the show. It's a matter of this battle royal. It's named after Andre the Giant, who was a part of WrestleMania 1 and the first several WrestleManias, should always be on the main card. Always. It should have never left. So when they put it on SmackDown, when you have a 2-night WrestleMania plus a kickoff show, it's insulting. It's insulting to me as a wrestling fan. It's probably even more insulting to the Bronson Reeds and the I was going to say Brutus brothers, the Creed brothers, and everybody else that's in this match. Nakamura probably, and some others. It's put it on the main card or put it on WrestleMania. It's a joke, man. Total joke. Let me go to the chat here before we start getting into last night's SmackDown. Okay, yeah, looks like you guys are confirming my math there on that. I did not write that down. Let's get to some quick super chats, and then we're going to talk about SmackDown last night and the debut of the Jadester, who looked phenomenal. Mike Witt, is it you? Oh no, I got to go way back up here. Oh, I missed a few. JJ, I got you. Yeah, Mike, I got that one. Jay Wilson, thank you so much, dude, for the $5. I'm looking forward to seeing what reaction we'll get from Cody after that beatdown from The Rock. I'm so ready for WrestleMania 40. I'm curious what Cody's demeanor is going to be like on Monday because everybody's going to be there. Everybody's going to be there on Monday. So I don't know. I'm not totally sure. I feel like Rock, Cody, Seth, and Roman will not be on SmackDown on Friday. Probably not. It's the Battle Royal. They're gearing up for the Hall of Fame. Maybe something with the women. I don't know. I feel like the final thing might be Monday. We might get a Bloodline interview or segment. But in terms of all four guys being in the same place at the same time, I feel like Monday might be the final stop before WrestleMania. Could be wrong. But everybody's going to be there. And Cody is 1 week removed from the ass kicking of his life by The Rock, getting beat down on camera with who was it? Steve Austin and John Cena on the WWE truck in the background. I think that's what got a lot of people talking about the possibility of them being at the show because, you know, nothing is done by accident. But we'll see if that happens. But after what happened to Cody, you got to think he's going to be... I worry, you know, like I don't want Cody to come out and be flat the way he was with Roman Reigns on SmackDown last week. I need him. I mean, after what happened to him, he better be out looking for blood. You know, he better have a switchblade in his pocket or a lead pipe being ready to take out The Rock. I would love for Cody just to be hiding in the shitter of The Rock's bus. You know, The Rock gets on his bus. Oh, man, pour the Tremana or whatever his fucking tequila is. And he's just going on and on about something that happened in the ring. I'll be right back. The Rock's going to go pinch a people's loaf. And he opens up the door and Cody jumps out and attacks him from the shitter, leaps from the shitter onto The Rock, beats him up. Something crazy, because I think the main event of night 2 is going to be crazy. Absolutely crazy. We've got 5 more from Mike Witt. Hypothetical, what would be a bigger pop? Austin helping out Cody night 2 or Dustin coming out and helping Cody fend off the bloodline? Nobody gets a bigger pop than Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's a silly question, but I think I see what you're saying because if the fans did see Dustin come out and help Cody, holy shit, a contracted AEW star is in the WrestleMania main event. That's fucking nutty. I think it would be great if just a little bit of, what does Tony Khan have to lose at this point? They did 740,000 on for the Dynamite rating this week. You know, if I'm TK, let Dustin go. Let Dustin just throw one punch. Just put some limitations on him. Don't jump in the ring and give fucking Roman Reigns a destroyer. Just be on the outside of the other side of the guardrail and maybe bitch slap The Rock or hit a bloodline member or just do something minor. Or at the very least, give your brother a big hug when he wins the championship. That would be really great if that happens, but I think that's a big if. But I still think Austin coming out, I can't help but think about Foley's victory in 1999. That's what I envision when I think about Austin coming out to help. We've got a very nice super from Union Trains. Thank you very much. I'm not sure what that currency equates to, but I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for being here. This is your first super on a live stream. This year makes it 25 years since Foley beat The Rock with Austin's help. I just said that. There's no better time to recreate that moment than night 2 of WrestleMania 40. Also 25 years since Austin beat Rock at WrestleMania 15, which was also in Philly. Good point. How can you not pull the trigger and go all out? I'm not a total fan of like just complete and total rehashes, but I do like callbacks. And if they were to, on the 25-year anniversary of not only Rock helping Foley to win, but also Austin helping Foley beat The Rock, but also Austin beating The Rock himself at WrestleMania 15. That was the watch along we just watched last Sunday. I was in the building for that show at WrestleMania 15 last time they were there. So there is the connection. And that was my point. You know, if Austin came out, there's been nothing going on TV indicating any Steve Austin involvement here at all. So I might need a little bit more than 25-year-old history to give me enough, as a fan, to satisfy me as to why Austin would stick his nose in this thing anyway, unless he's also been sitting back, getting annoyed with the bloodline, or if it's about Cody making a phone call to him, a preemptive phone call. Hey, in the event me and Seth come up short on night 1, do you think you could have my back on night 2? Oh, hell yeah, kid. Loved your dad. Something like that. That would be really cool, and I'd be all for it. WrestleMania 40, I'm kind of like letting some rules go in my head. WrestleMania 40, I'm going to probably be inclined to kind of accept whatever. Like the less it makes sense, the more I'm going to be okay with it. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. But like just for this year's WrestleMania, I want WrestleMania 40, the 40th one, to be fucking bonkers and off the hook. And I don't need everything to fucking make sense. I'm not watching it for it to make sense. It's wrestling. We got people giving births to hands. Why do I give a shit if a storyline makes perfect 100% sense or not? I don't. So I think the crazier, the better for this year's WrestleMania. That's Greg's take on it anyway. I like fun. Let me see. Where are we at next? Mike Witt, $2 from you, my friend. Thank you so much. Maybe a Rikishi appearance during Jay versus Jimmy. I thought about Rikishi too. Think about this, Mike Witt. What were we just talking about? Stone Cold Steve Austin appearing and helping out Cody. What if Rikishi shows up? I don't want entrance music and him coming down the aisle. Just hop over the barricade if he can. Rikishi hops over the barricade. He's now in the ringside area, helping out the bloodline. And then Austin's music hits. Austin comes down in a four-wheeler and runs over Rikishi. That's what you do. And then he runs over Rikishi, hops off the four-wheeler, hops in the ring, gives The Rock a stunner. He sells it over the top rope and trips and somersaults into the fifth row. And then Austin goes out and, maybe smacks around Jimmy and Solo on his way out, leaving Cody in the ring all by himself to finish off Roman Reigns. Fun. See, I want hit and runs. I want Cody's mom to hit a shooting star press. I want dead people coming back to life. I want everything you can possibly do in this match to happen. Rodrigo, appreciate the 2 from you. Kevin Nash and X-Pac could be at WrestleMania 40 for the NWO. I don't see either one of them being there. Nash is mentally checked out. I think they could be there making appearances. They're probably there now or they will be there this weekend, maybe doing WrestleCon shit. But, they could be a part of that opening deal, like I said. Rodrigo, maybe you're right about that. Nash just seems so fucking checked out of life lately. But if Nash and X-Pac were maybe in the ring with Shawn and Brett and Hogan and Taker and Cena and Austin, what a gathering. What a fucking gathering. I'd be all for it, man. I'd be all for it. The more the merrier. Let me see who's next. Chris Faplander. God, I love that name. Thanks for the $2. Great work, Gerg. Thank you for that, man. Appreciate it. Jay Boba's got 10 for us. I can't stand Bischoff. He recently stated that TK spends his daddy's money when he himself was given Turner's bank account and failed. TK has produced more Dynamites than Bischoff has Nitros. Almost. I think we're getting there. I'm not sure if we're there yet, but it's close. I know Nitro lasted, 5.5 years? 95 to 2001. Yeah, about 5.5 years. And so we're not quite there yet with Dynamite, but it's going to be close. But I also just kind of resent the daddy's money thing. I think that's it feels like that type of insult comes from the least intelligent parts of the wrestling community. They just love to get all up in their ass about that. Tony Khan is a college graduate. He went to school. He's held multiple jobs throughout his career and throughout his life. Yes, having a rich father has helped him along the way, but it's not like he's not Billy Madison. He's not some dumbass sits out in the pool and gets drunk all fucking day, and then he's just given a company. He's actually worked for it, just like Shane and Stephanie. Yes, they were born with silver spoons, but Shane and Stephanie are just like Tony Khan. Shane and Stephanie had all the advantages. Shane and Stephanie were, also once poised to probably take over the company at some point, but they still had to do stuff. They still had to go to school. They still had to go to college, get an education, work their way up. Shane started as a fucking referee, and Stephanie had various jobs, in the company until she reached, her corporate executive position. Shane even left and went and did other business ventures in China and did all other stuff and made himself, a great life even outside of WWE, but they had the advantage of being a McMahon, just like Tony Khan has the advantage of being a Khan, just like anybody else with a rich father or somebody who owns a business. Tommy Callahan comes to mind. Tommy Boy, Big Tom Callahan, died, and Tommy Boy took over the company with some help from David Spade. Nobody was getting on Tommy's case that he got all his money from his dad. Well, maybe David Spade did a little bit, but I just feel like it's a weak insult, and it's a stupid thing to obsess over. And Eric Bischoff has a problem. Eric Bischoff has a problem with being obsessed with Dave Meltzer and Tony Khan, but I know it gets views, it gets him revenue. It's just something that it's kind of like his online personality now, and that's fine, whatever. I would just like to think if I was in that position, and I was happily retired, living in buttfuck Wyoming, gnawing on elk meat every day and just enjoying the fruits of my labors in the wide open spaces and the beautiful home that I have and the peace and quiet that I have, spending my days just filling my Twitter timeline, yelling at Dave Meltzer and Tony Khan. I mean, if that's the way you want to spend your retirement years, that's fine. But why would you stress yourself out during the time of your life that you should be the least stressed out? Why do you let other people's existence live rent-free in your head to that degree? I can understand young people doing it because they're young and stupid and too full of fucking energy. But when you've done like all the things Bischoff has, it's like, God, I just don't understand. I don't understand that mentality, him and Cornette. I understand why they're doing it because it's highly successful. But I don't even know if I could keep it up. If I just came up here and just, ranted for 2 hours a day about how much I hated AEW, and I was getting hundreds of thousands of views, I don't think mentally I could keep it up. I couldn't keep up the charade. I'm like, I feel I sound like an asshole. Number one, it's making me miserable. It's making me mad. And why do we want to be mad when during a time in society when mental health and, and living as stress-free life as possible is so important right now for so many people, and I don't understand why anger and hate would be your primary motivation in what you do every day. just seems weird to moi, maybe not to everybody else, but people are going to be who they're going to be. Juliet, thanks for the $2. Cody confirmed he signed a new contract. Yes, we just talked about that. Are you gifting out memberships? You are. Who'd she give it to? Lee T got hooked up with a Juliet membership. Juliet's the best. Thank you so much for that. I also want to welcome the Psycho 45. Thank you, Kayfabe brother. Welcome to the family. Thank you so much for being here and joining. Welcome the new channel members that we've acquired in the last couple of days. All right, that catches up that before we jump into last night's SmackDown. Now, SmackDown was not that overwhelming of a show, but what I did like about SmackDown is that we had, oh no, let me see. Okay, I've just got a family text, not a big deal. I wanted to make sure that wasn't an emergency. What I did like about last night's SmackDown, because it is only a 2-hour show, and Rock and Roman Reigns and the Bloodline and the Cody and the Seth stuff has eaten up so much of the TV time in recent weeks. None of those guys were on the show tonight. We did hear from Paul Heyman a little bit, but it wasn't centered for the first time in a couple of weeks around that, which gave the rest of the talent on the card time to actually have matches and shit. So here's what we saw. We had Pretty Deadly getting an upset win over the tag team of Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. I'm liking their little this little buddy movie we've got going on between these two, although I think they're going to be tearing each other's heads off at WrestleMania. Pretty Deadly scored the upset win when Randy Orton's out there with the one of them, and then Logan Paul shows up in the ring, decks Kevin Owens with the brass knucks, and I love the way Owens sells the brass knucks. He just crumpled in a heap. Elliot, what's their fucking names? Prince. Whichever one Prince is, the blonde one, right? He pinned Kevin Owens for the big upset win there. Elton Prince. Not Elliot Prince. Elton Prince pinned Kevin Owens for the win. That's crazy. After Logan Paul decked him, he, for some reason, hides under the ring. I don't know why. So after the match, Orton is beating up Pretty Deadly guys and looking around and trying to find him. And I don't know if it's the fans or whatever that told Orton where to find Logan, but he lifts up the ring apron and Logan's just kind of sitting there, and Randy Orton grabs him and starts kicking his ass, but Logan Paul is able to run away after Pretty Deadly stops Randy Orton or distracts him enough to allow Logan Paul to scurry away. So that was a pretty fun match. And I think that Logan Paul right now is poised to retain the title at WrestleMania. I really liked the Io Sky promo that she had. I think, when it comes to international wrestlers, I don't know what it is about the Japanese wrestlers that I feel like these promos are better. When they did with Shinsuke Nakamura and this one with Io Sky, the way, with the subtitles and the speaking in Japanese and the music treatments, it's such a better way to tell your stories for them than being in the ring cutting a promo. It's different than the Mexican wrestlers. The Mexican wrestlers, I can actually handle screaming in Spanish because I live basically on the border and I can understand half of what they're saying anyway. But also, it's just a different language. And I think that speaking Japanese, being presented the way they do it is super smart, because I really like Io Sky. I really like Shinsuke Nakamura. And, they can be, I kind of like, especially with the heels more than the baby faces, the heels, they can have this like sinisterness to them. I don't watch anime or anything like that, but I feel like there are influences there in these segments, when they do them. And I like them. I just like the way they're structured. I like the way they look. And, when you read what Io is saying, calling Bayley a narcissist, who said she wanted to help out other talent, but it was really just to help herself. And they were growing tired of it. And eventually, things boiled over. So she kind of explained what led Damage Control to make this decision to attack Bayley and what was going on in their heads. And to me, being able to tell that story in a segment like this is much better than Io trying to say that in English in the ring on the mic, So I really like that. And then at the end of it, Bayley, you had a feeling too. Bayley wound up attacking her during the interview. And again, I loved how this was shot, because they've done attacks during interviews before. We've seen this hundreds of fucking times under Kevin Dunn. But since Kevin Dunn left, even this one, I can't really describe it. I only watched it once, but I liked how they kind of pulled back. There was almost like a wide shot of Bayley tackling Io through the green screen. And it was just like the angle of the camera was up high. There was lots of space. You could see people scrambling to pull them apart. It was just shot differently. Kevin Dunn would have been right in there with the shaky cameras, and it would have been all over the place, and it would have just looked typical and hokey and, like wrestling can be. But this was just a little bit better, and I just liked the way it was shot. I like the way everything has been shot. We've been seeing a lot of cool, like, long camera takes lately. We saw that one on Raw that lasted over a minute, from the entranceway all the way into the arena like that. Little things like that. They're just subtle. They're small, but we have been seeing WWE's same formulaic production for so many years. It's wired into all of our brains. We notice things that are different now. And when we notice little things like that, it's because they've been giving us the same shit. Every single fucking Monday Night Raw looked the exact same for 15 years. And now we're starting to see little differences in the setups and the camera angles, how the introductions are done, and how certain angles, matches, and segments backstage are shot. And I'm loving it. And we got WrestleMania 40 coming up in just a week. I think we're going to see some really cool camera angles, camera shots, and probably a lot of cool continuous camera shots. I mean, Goodfellas Steadicam take type of stuff, and that would be really awesome. That's all we need is Ray Liotta and what's-her-face coming through the WrestleMania ramp all the way down, busboys dodging them and shit. Oh my God, just good stuff. So I liked the way it presented. It was visually appealing to me more than maybe the promo and the fight, but I don't know. I just liked it. And I think it's a really good way to showcase some of that Japanese talent with their stories is in this way. And then after that, we got the Jade Cargill debut. Nick Aldis is in the ring to introduce her, and she comes out, amazing entrance, really thought it was badass. Now her song, I think it's the same music she used, correct me if I'm wrong, same music she used at the Royal Rumble, and it's very similar to her AEW theme, so they're kind of keeping it the same. I kind of like that they're not trying to completely change her. She is the same character she was in AEW. She's got similar music. She wears the same type of stuff, presented the same. And of course, she debuted in the Royal Rumble, and then WWE kind of pumped the brakes a little bit on her because I think her progression at the Performance Center wasn't what they wanted. Not her fault, the level of training that she's had, but, she was in AEW and she had some matches there and whatnot, but, maybe she didn't have the level of training she needed to really truly be in the big time working WrestleMania matches and shit. And she still might not be there considering she is going to be in a 6-woman now at the show. But she made her entrance, looked like $1 trillion, loved all of it. Loved the music, loved the outfit. She gets in the ring. She doesn't say a whole lot. She signs her SmackDown contract right there with Nick Aldis, and then she gets on the mic and basically just puts the women's division on notice. So then she poses and she smiles, and I can't get over how fucking good she looks. So welcome finally to the main roster, Jade Cargill. She's in there with some women. That SmackDown roster's got Io Sky, Bayley, Bianca, Tiffany. There's some women on that roster. So she's in a division there. So best of luck to her. And it wouldn't be the last we saw of Jade. And we'll talk about that in just a second. We had ladder match qualifiers. We had Waller and Theory defeating the Street Profits. Now, this was because of Karrion Kross attacking Bobby Lashley, and I think B-Fab too, backstage. So during the match, Kross appears on the Tron, showing the Street Profits that he's beat down Bobby Lashley, allowing enough time to pass to where Austin Theory counters Montez's frog splash with getting the knees up and then rolls him over and pins him. So Waller and Theory advance in the ladder match. And then later on, we had the New Catch Republic defeating Carrillo and Garza, and they have qualified for the ladder match. Now, since the Street Profits are not going to be in the ladder match, I would be very disappointed if the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley were left off of WrestleMania. Lashley got the shit end of the stick last year, had to do the Battle Royal, wasn't on the show. Now the Street Profits lost. They're not in the ladder match. Somebody brought this up on Monday. If you're in the chat, show yourself. Somebody brought up a really good idea on Monday. They had already sniffed this out on Monday during the stream, and I said, that's a tremendous idea. And somebody mentioned doing what they did at WrestleMania 13 with the Nation and the LOD and Ahmed. They did the Chicago street fight, do a Philly street fight with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus Karrion Kross and AOP. And if you really want to have fun, chuck the girls in there. Chuck Scarlett and B-Fab in there and just have a party and make it a Philly street fight, just like they did at 13 with the Chicago street fight. I think that might be fun because that LOD and Nation match was good. There was a spot there where like Ahmed Pearl River plunged someone through a table. It might have been D'Lo, actually. I think that might have been D'Lo's debut. Not sure if that was D'Lo. It was one of them. There was another one at that time that kind of looked like D'Lo. Oh, no, that was the Royal Rumble. That was the Royal Rumble that happened. Anyway, that's besides the point. By the way, we're watching that tomorrow. We will watch the Chicago street fight, and I will refresh my memory tomorrow night. But there were table spots during that match, and I remember watching that match that night with my friends, and that was a pretty weak WrestleMania, but we liked that match. So I really hope that Kross and AOP and Ellering, gets to have a WrestleMania match or something and moment. Having Paul Ellering out there at WrestleMania 40, oh my God, pass the lotion. Come on. You have to, right? So I feel like that needs to be a match that they add. I really hope they don't do something weird and leave them all off the show. I feel like there's room for that match somewhere on there. And I would definitely make it, street fight rules or something like that. And that would be a fun match to have something crazy, random happen. Maybe a Philly legend gets involved. I wouldn't say like Sylvester Stallone knocking somebody out, but I don't know. Is there any hockey player from fucking Eric Lindros or something? I don't know. Some Philadelphia, Mitch Williams, John Kruk, Lenny Dykstra, Pete Rose, somebody making some sort of an appearance in that match just for fun would be fun. Maybe the Always Sunny guys. Yeah, they should get the Always Sunny guys there. What are they doing? I bet you they'll be there. Something tells me they will. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. We had a LWO segment with Legado del Fantasma. And this was where we were going to get a WrestleMania match of some kind. Now, I thought this was going to be a multi-man thing, not just a tag team. I thought kind of everybody was going to be involved here. But turns out it's just going to be a tag match. Rey is in the ring. He's backed up by the LWO. Santos is backed up by his people. And Dominic is also out there. So Dominic is cross-pollinating factions here. So Ray challenges Santos and Dominic to a tag team match. And then Dominic's like, which one of these dorks is going to back you up? And Ray goes, the dork is going to be the newest member of the LWO, Dragon Lee. So Dragon Lee and Ray are going to team up to take on Santos and Dom. It's a little lazy feeling, and it's also like it came out of nowhere. Dominic just showed up last week and interfered, and next thing you know, boom, 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 we got a WrestleMania match. They weren't really building this up. I could totally see Ray and Dom having another encounter of some kind based on their match last year, but we didn't really get a lot of indicators for that up until recently, so it just kind of came out of the blue. What I do like about this is it's an ultimate rub for Dragon Lee. You know, he's going to have a tag team match at WrestleMania with Rey Mysterio right at the end of Rey Mysterio's career, you know, and for someone like Dragon Lee, who is likely greatly inspired by Rey Mysterio, this is probably like Edge and Hulk Hogan teaming up, you know, but only for luchadors. So I'm happy for Dragon Lee. I think that's awesome to be able to team with Rey, and that's going to be a great personal moment for him. But they're going to lose. Dominic and Santos are going to win. Dominic's going to get his win back from last year. I wouldn't even be surprised if Dom pins Ray. That's the finish I'm predicting. Dominic pins Ray. Dominic pins Ray. That'd be a big win for Dom. And he can say he beat Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania, his dad. And that will be a first. My God. First, I think it was the first father-son match. Oh, no, Vince and Shane did it. So there has been father-son matches at Mania before, but we haven't seen two of them where they've traded wins, I don't think. Shit. With Shane and Vince, who knows? They might have popped up one year that I've forgotten. We also had AJ Styles promo all night long. AJ knows LA Knight is in the building. And I think Nick Aldis said something like, I strongly urged him to stay home, but he didn't ban him from the building. He just said, you should stay home. And so AJ's like, I know he's here. This is horseshit. He comes out to the ring. He's cutting a promo. Again, he's saying that he knows that LA Knight is in the building. And a cameraman kind of hops over the barricade, or a guy in a hoodie, I guess, jumps over and they tackle him, but it's not him. So AJ just keeps thinking he's disguised as a cameraman or something. And so when he's all pissed off after they kind of subdue the guy in the hoodie, AJ is now on the outside of the ring talking to the camera on the mic, and standing right next to him is LA Knight, who's kind of got like some hair, fake hair on, and he attacks and beats the shit out of AJ Styles. So I like that because it's very Austin-like. You know, last week he's showing up at AJ's house. This week he's dressed as a production guy. He did the same thing to Vince years ago. I don't remember the pay-per-view it was on now. I remember it being in a cage. It was like the Blue Bar cage, and Austin was dressed as a cameraman. And when he started taking off the shit, he looked exactly like Arn Anderson because he had like a fake beard on. He had glasses, and he looked exactly like Arn. So LA Knight, he's always kind of compared to Austin and Rock. Now he's doing Austin and Rock shit, showing up at AJ's house, then doing the disguise thing. AJ Styles might have a bedpan to his head in his future. So watch out for flying bedpans, AJ Styles. That match, I think, is going to be a sleeper hit. AJ had some good ones. His match with Jericho was good. His match with Shane was good. I think that AJ and LA Knight, and he had that fun one with Taker, that bonkers one in the graveyard or whatever. So I think that AJ and LA Knight should really try their best to make their mark on this card, because they've got a lot of matches at WrestleMania that are going to be guaranteed barn burners. And AJ and LA Knight, I think, should try to do something here that at the end of both nights, we're not forgetting about them. That would be my goal if I was those two. That might be a show opener. We'll see. And in the main event, by the way, last night on SmackDown, it was Bianca Belair taking on Dakota Kai. Bianca beat her with the KOD after the match. Damage Control swarmed the ring. You knew where this was going. Naomi makes the save. Of course, she gets overwhelmed. And then out comes Jade Cargill, who comes in and destroys all three members of the Damage control. Dakota and Kairi Sane are rather little, so she was really able to slam. She powerbombed the fuck out of Dakota and hit Kairi with her finisher and boot kicked Asuka across the ring. She looked great. She did her little hand lick thing when she put down Kairi, so that was cool. And then all three women stood tall and all three women pointed to the WrestleMania sign. Amazing image there with the three of them. And I'm fine with them doing this match. Now, I felt like I called this out on Monday. We talked about this Monday during the Raw review is when I had the idea for this match. And we were talking about Jade's debut. And I'm like, why would they wouldn't debut Jade now and then not give her a WrestleMania match? Like if WWE wasn't going to have Jade at WrestleMania, they would debut her after WrestleMania. Would make no sense to debut her so close to the show and then not have her on the card. They're doing that because she's going to be on the card. So we started thinking on Monday, okay, what's she going to do? We've talked about the possibility before of her and Bianca teaming up to face the Kabukis for the tag titles. We talked about that a couple months ago. But if Bayley is going to beat Io Sky, or is Damage Control going to lose all the belts on that night? And so then on Monday, it was like, oh, light bulb. Naomi and Bianca have been doing their thing. There's 3 members of Damage Control other than Io Sky. Do a 6-woman. And I was like, oh shit, I felt like a fucking genius for coming up with this. And then by the time we got to Friday, I laughed because I tweeted on Thursday about this. But by then, I think everybody kind of had figured out that was the plan. So maybe on Monday I was a genius, but by Tuesday it was everybody kind of had that in their head. So that's exactly what we got here. And I really actually don't hate it for a couple of reasons. I think it's going to be a great visual for the 3 of them. I mean, those are, 3 very strong, powerful black women. And it's a great moment for them to be together, share that moment, the pointing, to the sign. These are 3 young, very athletic women that are going to be on the roster for years to come and are going to be big parts of the company moving forward, and having this moment, I just think is just maybe made for a moment. And Bianca Belair is going to continue her WrestleMania streak. She has been involved in pretty high profile matches the last couple of WrestleManias. So she can do something a little bit less this year. I don't think it's really that big a deal. Last year, Becky Lynch did the thing with Trish and all that. So not a big deal. Plus, it would also give us the visual again with her and Jade Cargill in the ring, because, at some point we're going to have to get that match. And best of all, it allows Damage Control to lose, but not lose the tag team title. So it's going to be a bad night in the win-loss column for Damage Control, but at least they're going to walk away still with a couple of championships. So I am fine with this. Some people don't like it, which I can kind of understand. But I don't really know what else you're going to have these women do at this point. You could have Bianca and Naomi challenge for the tags, but again, if you want to keep Damage Control doing stuff, you should maybe keep the titles on the Kabukis. Another thing about this match, unless Damage Control pulls off the upset of a lifetime here, I believe it's going to be yet another WrestleMania loss for poor Asuka, who is 0 for life, I think, at WrestleMania. I don't know what the record is up to now, but I don't think she's had a match where she's won yet at WrestleMania, and I don't think it's going to happen here. So another loss for her. The good thing about that is it's going to automatically create a really great moment for Asuka. I don't think Asuka is done being world champion yet. So I think with Asuka, if I'm Triple H, I'm going to talk to her. I'm like, look, you're going to lose again, but I promise you next year, I'm going to create a moment for you. Stay healthy, work hard all year. When it gets to Rumble time, we're going to put you in the mix, and I'm going to give you a title shot, and you're going to win. And we're going to really, really heavily focus on your losing streak at WrestleMania. It's going to play into the story. You're the champion's going to have all the confidence because you don't win at WrestleMania. They're going to look past you. And we'll maybe tell a story like that with some fucking asshole. Because I think Bianca and Rhea Ripley need to be the main event next year. But the other championship, whoever's holding it by then, I think Asuka should beat her, or at least set Asuka up for some sort of big WrestleMania victory. Some big, meaningful WrestleMania victory, even if it's not for a championship. Maybe if they create a secondary title, if they create a women's Intercontinental Championship, and you crown that champion at next year's WrestleMania, Asuka wins. Something like that to make up for it. And then you can bill it as her first win at WrestleMania and make it a big deal. Something like that. So anyway, I think the match should be fun, and it's probably just going to be an establishing match for Jade Cargill, getting her in the door. You know, her first official match in the ring is going to be WrestleMania. That's crazy. She's had 2 matches so far, Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, and done shit in NXT. So obviously she's going to be treated like a huge and massive star if you're coming right into the company and working WrestleMania first. So that just goes to show you how much they think of her and how much of the main roster how a big part of the main roster they consider her to be. Because it's not like, oh, they forgot about her and they didn't do anything with her. No, they just don't have any plans for her to be in NXT. So she needs to be there for a little while. Yes, she's been in AEW, but she definitely needs some training. I don't think it's been very long. It's been a few months. That seems reasonable to me. If they wanted her on NXT, then we'd be seeing her on NXT, but they don't want her on NXT. They want her to just debut on the main roster. So they will do that when she's ready. It never meant that they fumbled the ball or they forgot about her or they regret signing her. No, they're just progressing her and they are teaching her the WWE way. And so now she's in a match. It's going to be a 6-woman. She can be easily, whatever limitations she has will be somewhat invisible or protected in this match. And it will probably just be kind of a match for the moment to see these 3 women probably dominate hard over Damage Control. Plus Dakota and Kyrie, man, they can bump. So I think Bianca and Jade are going to be. I would like to see a part in the match where Bianca and Jade want to one up each other with what they can do. Like Jade's got Dakota and Bianca's got Kyrie, and they just both maybe they play catch with them or something. I don't know. Something really fun where Bianca tosses Dakota and then Jade's like, oh, all right. She grabs Kyrie and they do it and they go back and forth. That might be fun. Let's see. Monday Night Raw. Of course, last week, Rock killed Cody in that final segment in the rain, beating him down. I thought that was great with the belt, talking to his mom, all that stuff, terrific. I should mention that on SmackDown last night, Paul Heyman did say or claimed that it was Roman Reigns who gave the order for The Rock to do that. You know, because we've all been talking about what, as great as that segment was on Raw, it's feeling more about like Rock and Cody at this point. It feels more like Rock and Cody is the match, and we're not even getting that, you know, and it feels like CM Punk and Drew McIntyre is a match, and we're not getting that either. It's very weird. At WrestleMania 27 was kind of like that, but it does make sense if Roman Reigns technically is the leader of the bloodline and he's the tribal chief and he gives the orders, and he ordered The Rock to show up at Raw and take out Cody. The Rock did it. He carried out the orders of the tribal chief, at least according to Paul Heyman. So we'll see if that plays into anything, or if maybe on Monday, Rock subtly or passively aggressively says something in his promo that alludes to him making this decision on his own or something. I don't know. We will see. The whole Cody and Rock thing, it doesn't like perfectly line up, but it does remind me a little bit of The Rock and Hulk Hogan in 2002 with WrestleMania 18. I mean, The Rock, what if he runs over Cody with a semi on Monday night? You know, that was kind of like what the segment was this past Monday in the rain, was when The Rock almost got murdered by the NWO, and then 2 weeks later, him and Hulk Hogan are friends. So, you know, the Bloodline playing the role of the NWO. So it kind of reminds me a little bit of Rock and Hogan from 2002, but they're not even facing each other. It's going to be Cody and Roman on night 2. So that whole situation continues to play out, and join us Monday after Raw, because I'm really curious and interested to see how Cody's going to react. I mean, if he's going to be like waiting out in the parking lot for him type of thing, or if we wait to get him out in the ring to discuss it. I just want to see what his mental demeanor is going to be. So we will see. Monday night, Rock and Roman Reigns both booked for Brooklyn, and the first hour is going to be presented commercial free. So thanks, WWE. Here's what we got for WrestleMania. We got Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee taking on Dominic Mysterio and Santos Escobar. Jade, Bianca, and Naomi taking on Damage Control. We've got the ladder match, the six-pack ladder match for the tag team titles. It's Miz and R-Truth, the Judgment Day, New Day, DIY, Waller in Theory, and the Catch Repubbies. They're going to be battling for the tag team titles. We got LA Knight versus AJ, Jay and Jimmy. We also have Logan versus Owens and Randy Orton. We have Gunther versus Sammy, Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch, Io Sky versus Bayley, Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre, Rock and Roman Reigns versus Seth and Cody, and Cody versus Roman Reigns. That comes out to, I believe, 12 matches, and I would love it if they added the Cross and AOP and Street Profits and Lashley match. Philly Street Fight would be great. All right, we're going to get into Dynamite here in a second, but let me go back over here to the chat and catch up on that one. Oh, man, you guys got some good ideas in here. Mike Witt, appreciate the 5 from you. Imagine if Brock helped Cody night 2. Wow, he does have history with Rock. On a lot of history with Paul and Roman. Won't happen, just throwing it out. Yeah, I mean, Brock could come out. I wouldn't do that, though. There's too much controversy attached to his name. You don't want to do that in your main event of WrestleMania 40. If Brock has been off TV or he's been out of the company for a couple of years and he was never implemented in that Vince lawsuit, then yeah, sure, bring everybody out there. But I can't see Brock being a part of that. That would be a massive mistake. I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. Mike's got 2 more for us. Jason Kelsey involved in the street fight. There you go. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Somebody like that. That would be great. I'd be into it. What's up, Spectra? Man, oh man, 19-month shout out. We are approaching 2 years. Hope all is good. Heard Becky may leave in a few months. How much would that change AEW to get her? Is there anyone in AEW that you would think would be better in WWE at the moment or vice versa? There's probably a few. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any. Becky, if she leaves in a few months, I don't know. I know her book is out or it's about to come out. I've been seeing a lot of excerpts from the book, but it feels like a lot of it's in kayfabe. I read some transcripts of what she said about Seth Rollins' reaction to CM Punk and how he felt disrespected and whatnot. It just felt like she was kind of keeping it a little bit kayfabe. So it's probably a little bit of a mixture of a shoot and a worked book. I don't know if I'll read it or not, but if she left, I kind of thought it would maybe, her going to AEW, I could see, because Becky is a mother and you're going to want to spend as much time with your child as possible. So having a lighter schedule for more money might be very attractive to somebody who's wrestled for 10, 12 years really hard, full-time, on the road, grinding. A lot of times you feel entitled to a big payday, when you get to that point. So if AEW's got a lighter schedule, you can just, work limited dates and not have to have such rigorous travel, allowing you time to be at home with your kid. That can be very attractive. But, Becky and Seth, to me, feel like WWE for life. If I was either of them, I would never leave. My bread is buttered there. They are going to go down as legends, as icons with their WWE given gimmick names. Neither one of them can take these names with them. So she's then going to have to be Rebecca Quinn, maybe. But I mean, I don't know them, just up to them. Whatever they want to do, I'm going to support, because I like both of them as performers. But if I'm in their shoes and I can make these decisions and I'm sitting where Becky Lynch is sitting, I'm not leaving, and I'm not going anywhere if I'm Seth Rollins either. Why would I? I'm going to go down as one of the most decorated people this company's ever had. Yeah, sure, I could probably still leave and not burn the bridge and leave professionally and on good terms, but, I'm still leaving, and, coming back in might not be as easy in a few years if that's what I want to do. So, in terms of my career and my legacy, I'd probably stay put, but WWE, they might still insist that they work full time. I think both Becky and Seth Rollins, at the next time their WWE contracts come up for renegotiation, I'm sure they are well within their rights by this point to negotiate lighter schedules. How about I just work 20 less house shows next year? Please, fuck, something like that. So I think that WWE should do whatever they need to do to keep them around. All right, I think that catches up the supers and whatnot. Let's talk a little bit about this week's Dynamite. We're not going to spend a ton of time about it or a ton of time on it because I liked the show, but it was still kind of underwhelming at the same time. Dynamite had low energy, had low attendance, had low ratings, but it had great wrestling matches, bookended by Will Ospreay and Katsuyori Shibata, who opened the show with a great, fun match. Ospreay was giddy as a schoolgirl to have this match, put it over like crazy the week before, so I was really excited to see it. So that was a really fun opener, and the main event was tremendous. Swerve Strickland and Takeshita, please give me some of that. It was everything I thought it could be, and of course, that was going to be for the number one contendership to face Joe at Dynasty, and Swerve won that. So we had Will Ospreay's big win in the beginning, and Swerve's big win in the closing main event. Now it is official. He will be facing, at least, I don't know if they've officially announced it because they didn't on Dynamite, but we know it's going to be official. It's going to be Samoa Joe versus Swerve Strickland for the title. And that's pretty awesome. I feel like it's Swerve's belt to win here. I would belt him now, although there is one big thing we have to remember, and that is Hangman Page. And there's a lot going on there with Hangman. He's not done with Swerve yet, and he feels, last time we saw him, the only thing on Adam Page's mind was stopping Swerve from winning the championship. And he's been kind of absent, dealing with what he's dealing with. And I could see him costing Swerve. You know, in my mind, this was Dynasty was going to be where Swerve won the title. But there's a big part of me that thinks Hangman Page could cost him. I'm hoping he doesn't, but look for that. And then if that happens, then maybe it's a double or nothing victory for Swerve. Now, I had said last week that it would maybe be cool if Swerve Strickland won the title at Dynasty and then maybe dropped it to Will Ospreay at All In. You know, big stadium show like that. They might like a babyface match. I don't see anything wrong with that. Plus, I don't think AEW really right now needs to have another year plus long run. There's a lot of guys kind of gobbed up at the top, and I don't really think a 4 or 5 month run is a disservice to anybody. Shit, back in the Attitude Era, guys were holding the titles for 40 days at a time and then just switching it all the time. You know, Steve Austin's 4 combined runs, I don't even think combined the amount of time that Swerve would be holding the title here for. So if it was only a 5 month run and he dropped it, I think that with AEW right now, I think just keeping things moving and hot and fresh might be a good strategy in my mind, so things don't taper off or feel, or continue to decline ratings wise or whatnot. But Swerve is also very over. Fans like him. And if he gets, like Stone Cold Steve Austin over, then sure, don't take the title off him and ride him to the moon. But I also feel like you could maybe have 3 champions in the next 18 months type of thing. But, then again, Swerve and Ospreay are going to have vastly different things to do. And on our last stream, somebody brought up Ospreay and Okada at All In and do a Wrestle Kingdom type of match with them. And that would be tremendous as well, especially if Okada puts that belt on the line. And maybe that's what they do first. I feel like Will Ospreay's got to be a champion within the next year-ish. But maybe winning the Continental Classic first on the way, I don't know, is a good way to do it. I'm not sure. But I'm pretty confident Swerve's going to beat Samoa Joe. I feel like a Dynasty, but that Hangman Page thing has got me wondering a little bit. Also on Dynamite, we had, what did we have? Oh yeah, we had this great Bryan Danielson vignette where he's continuing his epic last year. And I loved this because you can really truly tell that Danielson is having his exit of wrestling come under his own terms. He's calling his own shots here. He's handpicking what he wants to do and who he wants to work with. And he's been all over the place lately. And last night, he worked a CMLL show in Arena, Mexico. He teamed up with Moxley and Claudio and Matt Sydal. They lost to Team CMLL, Ultimo Guerrero, Blue Panther, Volador Jr., and Mystico. So he worked Arena Mexico last night. That's awesome. And I think he's going to take his tour, barring injury, all the way into the summer, hopefully against Nigel McGuinness at All In. And I love that he's going to wrap up his career exactly how he wants to, working with the people that he wants to, with no handcuffs. I'm sure Tony Khan is saying, whatever you want to do, we're going to let you do. Where he definitely would not have that ability if he was in WWE. And I'm glad that Danielson just gets to do what he wants, work with who he wants, and handpick the people he works with in his final year. I think that's awesome. I think that's such a fun, great way to go out. And I'm starting to get sad that his full-time run is nearing the end. Also, last night, it should be mentioned that Willow Nightingale was also at the Arena Mexico show. And she won a 6-woman match. One of her partners was Tessa Blanchard. So that was kind of interesting. But I just saw a couple of clips. That's all I know about the show. Also, on Dynamite this past week, the Young Bucks advanced in that tag team tournament, defeating Private Party. Now, they tried to make you think that maybe lightning could strike twice here because like 5 years ago, Private Party beat the Young Bucks on Dynamite, but the Bucks did advance, and I think this tournament was designed for them to win it. So I'm only kind of half-assed paying attention to the tournament because the finals will be at the pay-per-view. And even if it's the Bucks and FTR, I feel like the Bucks are going to win. There's just no doubt about it. Darby Allin did a little segment with Tony Hawk. They were kind of plugging and discussing their skate park project and trying to raise funds for that. This is part of Darby Allin's now failed Everest attempt since he did get injured. So they were there to kind of promote that a little bit. I love Tony Hawk. I've met him a couple times. He's come into my restaurant. And last time he was in, one thing I noticed about him was just his gnarled knuckles. He's got like these big, fat knuckles. I shook his hand. It was like shaking bananas. And I think it's just the years of skateboarding, like probably falling and breaking fingers and whatnot. And he's just got, probably like football hands or basketball player hands too, where you jam your fingers a lot. And it's just, I was like, my God, he's got these ham hocks almost, and the dented looking knuckles, just gnarly ass hands. But Tony Hawk's the best. And I love that he's friends with Darby Allin. We had more of this, this is bad. We had more of this Jericho and Hook shit on Wednesday. Don't like it. Jericho last week lost to him and then said, hey, next week I've got a proposition for you. So now they're back here being interviewed by Renee, I believe. And this big proposition is only Jericho offering his advice. Hook, you proved yourself. Jericho feels all off-centered or something. And he's like, you proved yourself to me and I want to be able to help you. So I've decided that if you want my advice, I'd love to give you my advice. And then Hook's like, of course I'll accept your advice, Chris. But I know who you are. You're Chris Jericho or something like that. Like saying like, I know who you are. I know what you have a history of doing. So if you befriend me, don't think that I'm not aware that you could likely turn on me is basically what he meant when he said that. It was just weird. And this whole thing is unnecessary. Hook grew up in the business. His dad is Taz, who sits right there on commentary during his matches. He couldn't be closer to Hook if he tried. So Hook already has a legendary father who knows wrestling and has taught him. He's been around the business his whole life. What the fuck can Jericho offer him other than some little side advice in catering when they're putting salads on their plate? Hey kid, next time you're out there, look at the camera. You should give him a little wink or something. Something like that. Not, I need to guide your career. Fuck you, Jericho. So I don't know what the hell's going on there. Don't care. Then we had Willow defeating Chris Statlander, Sky Blue, and Anna Jay. She becomes now the #1 contender to Julia Hart's TBS Championship. So that's going to be the match we're going to get at Dynasty. So it's not going to be Willow and Mercedes. They're going to take their time with Mercedes. She's still getting over that injury as well. She was on commentary for this. It was okay. After the match, Julia Hart attacks Willow. And there's kind of like a stare down with Mercedes on commentary. So this feels stupidly obvious what they're going to do here. Willow Nightingale, she's going to beat Julia Hart at Dynasty for the TBS title. I'm convinced of it. And then Mercedes will get her win back because Willow beat Mercedes for that New Japan title, right? So now that win is going to come back to Mercedes, and she will also win a championship. And I think that belt will look as good around Mercedes as it has since Jade Cargill. I think the TBS title will look good on her. She's definitely going to win it, and I think she needs to get in there and start mixing it up and having matches. Because I just don't know if having video packages about how great you are and coming out and cutting a promo and being on commentary, I don't know how much of that is going to really get the fans more excited to see you. You need to get in there, having some issues, start some shit, have some matches and whatnot. Let's get moving here. But it sounds like it's still going to be a while before she gets in the ring for the first time. And I don't know if they can, I don't even know if they could stretch it that far to Double or Nothing, because how would Mercedes get a title shot if she's not winning any matches? Don't you have to like string up some victories to get a title shot? Or usually that's what you have to do. So I don't know if maybe they're going to use the history from the New Japan title to grant Mercedes a match, or if maybe Willow does one of those weird things where the champion challenges the challenger or something like that, then they could put it together. But I feel like unless she needs more time on her injury, I don't think a slow burn is the way to do it with Mercedes. Unless, she just needs a little more recovery time, then that's fine. But otherwise, I'd get her moving a little quicker than this. So far, Okada and Ospreay, to me, are doing better, those two free agents, in what I've seen. Also, we had the Best Friends defeating Undisputed Kingdom, so they will move on in that tournament as well. And Dynasty is looking like this. We've got Samoa Joe versus Swerve Strickland, Willow Nightingale versus Julia Hart, Will Ospreay versus Danielson, and the tag team title tournament final. Now, that's only 4 matches. We're going to get at least 5 more, I'm sure. And Dynasty's looking pretty good. Now, apparently it's going to be offered on Triller, which I don't know anything about that app, and now YouTube. So that's interesting. Everybody's been complaining about BR Live or Bleacher Report with watching AEW pay-per-views. I've ordered every single AEW pay-per-view through Bleacher Report, and I've never had an issue. It's never once buffered or stalled or anything. So I've never had a problem. So I guess I was just going to stick with Bleacher Report, because why would I go to Triller that I don't know anything about when everything's working fine for me on Bleacher Report? Well, the YouTube thing might change that, because I live on YouTube. I'm already here. Might as well just watch it on here. So I'm probably going to make the switch and watch Dynasty on YouTube this year. In 14 minutes, Collision starts. Here's what's going to happen, or here's what you're going to see. The Righteous and Lance Archer are taking on Danielson, Claudio, and Shibata. FTR taking on the Infantry. The Cope Open is also tonight. He's going to be putting his title on the line. And we have Ricky Starks and Big Bill versus Top Flight and Thunder Rosa versus the Frost Lady, Lady Frost. So I hope you enjoy Collision tonight. Let's go back to the chat and knock out some more supers and see what else you guys have to say. And then I need to get out of here because I have concluded my notes on time. Hooray! Hooray. And don't forget, tomorrow night, guys, WrestleMania 13 watch along. Be here for Easter Sunday. If for any reason I happen to be late, I'll let you know. I shouldn't be, but you never know. I'll make an announcement on YouTube or on social media, but I doubt I will be. But there is a 3.6% chance I could be 20 minutes late tomorrow. Just keep that in mind. Right on. We've got 2 more from Mike Witt. Cody and Seth come out to Shield music night 1. Now, Seth Rollins did do that, right? At the Rumble match they had a couple of years ago. I can't see Cody in that riot gear. That would be cool, though. Solidarity together. Cody and and Seth. I mean, what does WWE want? Do they want the fans on both nights to get the whoa? I mean, does it all come down to the theme song? Like, if somebody's pitching that in creative, is somebody actually going to be like, no, we don't want to do that because we want Cody to have his song? Maybe they can start with the Shield music and then morph into their regular themes. But Cody was never in the Shield, so I don't know if it would really work. He would look weird as a member of the Shield. Spectre's got 5 for me. Appreciate that, man. Thoughts about wrestlers going back and forth. Wonder if Jack Perry would do better in WWE. Playing into the Hollywood roots from his dad feels very WWE. Yeah, it does. Then he'd be going to WWE to be there with CM Punk. That would be wild shit. I'm kind of indifferent on Jack Perry. I don't dislike him he gets a lot of flack now ever since that stuff happened. But I've never had much of a problem with him, really. But he's not really high on my list of guys that I just can't wait to see wrestle or, be in a match or whatever. I'm not clamoring to see more of him. I think what he's doing so far in New Japan is somewhat interesting, but nothing that is interesting me too much. But if he went to WWE, it feels like that is more of a place for him because of the Luke Perry stuff. But I don't know. I don't know how much of a future he's got. I don't really know. Roman, well, funny how TK lets wrestlers work other promotions unless it's WWE. Well, yeah, I mean, they're competing, rival companies here. I mean, independent companies is one thing, but working for like a direct rival, that's pretty common. I think WWE has the same policy. They don't let the wrestlers really do much of anything, but certainly AEW is off limits in terms of making appearances. But all that stuff's in your contract. It's not about just letting them. You write that in the contract too. You can't appear there, or you can do it under certain circumstances or whatever. But that's just the way it is. Jacob A., do you think 40 could be better than 30? Yeah, I do. And 30 had some disappointments. It was great to see what Daniel Bryan did, but, then again, you had Cena beating Bray Wyatt. Everybody hated that. The Undertaker losing shocked the shit out of us. Ultimate Warrior died the next day. It's a crazy time. It was just a really, really crazy time. Yeah, Jericho is just he's just existing now, like it's almost, he's always been really smart, knows when to step away and stuff. He doesn't seem like he knows this time, or if all that other stuff going around is on his mind, maybe he knows there's more shoes to drop and he's preoccupied in his head with that. I don't know. But Jericho, of all people, has always been pretty smart with that stuff, knowing when maybe to step away. Now would be a good time, Jericho. Thank you so much, Clone Force, for the $5. Cena and Austin Easter egg hint in the back of the truck during Rock beatdown on Cody. And WWE for sure did that on purpose. Both will be WrestleMania Night 2. I wouldn't be putting nights on these, Clone Force, quite yet. But yeah, Austin and John Cena being at WrestleMania feels likely. We talked all about this earlier on, so just rewind a bit back and you will hear me lay out a whole bunch of different options for both of those guys at WrestleMania and what would be cool and what maybe would not be cool too. So anyway, I got to get out of here now and head to work, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Saturday to you. Have a good rest of your evening, and thanks for being here on another Wingy. Have a great Easter tomorrow. Be sure to join us for our WrestleMania 13 watch-along. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I will be looking forward to seeing you tomorrow as we kick off a super busy WrestleMania week. Y'all have a good one.